Last week at Crandon International Raceway, we saw bumping, we saw banging, we saw dramatic land rush starts, and Josh Clogg finally cast off his bad luck and drove his fiercely forward number 3 Subaru into victory lane. Can Josh build on his momentum and claw his way back into the championship hunt and challenge his teammate Luke Kraus? Or is it a case of too little, too late? We will start to find out tonight from the virtual Wild West Motorsports Park. Good evening and welcome to round 8 of the 2022 NASA Rallycross Challenge and the 214th round of overall competition here on the Automotive Sports Network. I'm your host, Ian Fisher. Alongside me tonight in the cube is Matt Kingsbury, Philip Kraus, and we have Victor Vallee in the production cube running the cameras, bringing you light stuff ad coverage of the second of our 2 Enduro rounds. Our broadcast this evening is presented by Fisher Disc Golf. Use code RALLY for 15% off at checkout, and Bolt Jet Charters. Well, we have gone from Brands Hatch all the way down to Lucas Oil. Last week was at Crandon, and we are now at Wild West Motorsport Park. Located just outside of Reno, Nevada and Sparks, Nevada, historically Wild West Motorsports Park has been home of an annual stop on the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series. Unfortunately, the track has fallen on some hard times in real life, being temporarily closed. However, that won't stop us from getting down and dirty here tonight. The stunning mountain backdrop, it's one of the most visually unique tracks on the iRacing surface with a track layout to match. Wild West features 4 turns, 2 of which are proper hairpins, with 4 tabletop jumps, a massive drop-off after turn 1, and a rhythm section before turn 2. It's a great place to watch a race and an even more exciting track to drive. And Matt, I have to ask you, you have won here before in NASA Rallycross with Sindre Silva being our most recent winner, and it's a very unique track, so what does it take to get it done here at Wild West?
Yeah, you gotta be aggressive at this track because you gotta attack all the corners. There's not a lot of room for mistake here either because it's a really bumpy track. There's a lot of big jumps. So if you get any of those jumps wrong, you could be bouncing around the track and end up wrecked.
Yeah, you could end up wrecked really easily, and also very important to stay very tight to these hairpins as we're on board Ray Kingsbury now on his qualifying run, and you can see just the elevation changes on this track. And Philip, you've raced here a few times as well in the past. I mean, let's talk to us a little bit about that elevation. What challenges does it pose to you as a driver?
Yeah, obviously this track only has 4 corners, but the big talking point's the massive jumps here. As I say that, Ray flies over the jump as he sets himself up for turn 1. It's really about making sure you don't screw up your landing or your jump itself, because it's really easy to get the front end in the air a bit too high, get it a bit too low, and you just ruin your entire landing. And you need to be able to land flat to set yourself up for the corners, because it's usually a landing and then you got a corner right afterwards.
Yeah, and staying flat and keeping all 4 wheels on the ground is how you're going to keep the power down, and that is very, very important here at the Wild West Motorsports Park. Got about 3 minutes left in qualifying here, still watching Ray Kingsbury coming back up the hill, and I will say that elevation is something we just don't see very often, and going to be some crazy side-by-side racing here tonight. Of course, we do have damage off tonight. That's not an excuse for our drivers to get into each other and cause incidents. That's just more because these rallycross cars will, well, frankly, explode if we don't do that. And some of these large jumps here meant for Pro Tour trucks, not necessarily meant for rallycross cars, but that's going to lead to some very, very exciting action. And something a little bit that's unique about it here, well, Matt, is we're going to have a rolling start. So not going to be a standard standing start that we have, going to be a rolling start. These drivers are going to roll off side by side, and that first jump is always calamity-filled, to say the least.
Yeah, it definitely is, Ian. You know, that turn 1, I won my race here because I was able to capitalize on turn 1 and mistakes that were in turn 1. So yeah, getting a good start here and using that rolling start to your advantage really is beneficial. So anyone that can take advantage of avoiding the carnage in turn 1 is going to benefit.
As we see our fearless leader there, Joshua Mertz, he's racing again today, and that's why I'm here in the commentary cube. That's not really something you want to do, though, Phil. That was quite an impressive breakdancing move by Josh, but you want to keep your wheels on the track as much as you can, and really hard to just keep the car straight here and keep it pushing around these corners. Very easy to get out into those walls, and, as we see here, Wyan Mowry qualifying, it's he's having trouble keeping a straight line as well. Very wide track, but not as much room as you think there is. Very deceptive.
Yeah, on a track like this, you're always searching for more room. Like, even Crandon, which is, I would say, wider than this track, you still want that extra room to the left and right of you just to get that little bit extra bit of lap time, because he's using the entire track again there through turn 3. But, yeah, I feel like in these corners you really have to hold it tight, turn 3 especially, but obviously I've never won here, so maybe I'm a bit wrong with that, but I've always felt like on these off-road tracks you have to really hold the inside line, because it's always hard to pass after the first lap, and as long as you take the shortest way around, usually unless someone punts you out the way, you should be able to hold on to your position.
Yeah, and of course we're used to the chrome horn, or the Kingsbury horn, as we like to say. Matt, I know you sent it a little bit too hard last week, and so that's why you're joining us in the commentary cube today. But talk a little bit here about, once again, we're not going to have any joker laps, so all these passes have to get done on the racetrack, and what does that pose to a driver that's used to maybe using a joker lap as strategy?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have that opportunity, so you've got to be prepared to get a little aggressive, which is why, you know, you can rack up penalty points super easy here, like I did at Crandon, and it's just the nature of racing these tracks. You have to be aggressive, but you also have to learn when to dial it back and just wait for someone to make a mistake.
Yeah, it's always a fine balance at these type of tracks between pushing too hard and not pushing hard enough, because if you don't push hard enough, you're just not going to be able to get anything done. And if you push too hard, like our compatriot Matt here did, you end up in the commentary cube for a race because you have a race ban.
Yeah, and we're going to see some contact indeed tonight. Now, just a little bit of our race analysis here. Our heat races are going to be 6 laps. Our top 2 drivers advance to the final. We're looking at our Heat 1 grid right now. Francois Martel at the top of the board. Not surprising to see him here. Ray Kingsbury is going to be in 2nd place. Schofield going off 3rd. Savion Ragster rolling off 4th place here. Mowry 5th. Irvin, Abedi, Lindy, and Jensen are going to wrap up the rest of our grid here. An interesting mix between all different types of cars here. Gentlemen, do you think there is an advantage to one car or another here at Wild West?
I don't think there's a particular advantage for one car over another, but I think usually we see the Subaru end up being the strongest at a majority of tracks we run, and I feel like tracks like these kind of even the playing field a lot more. So it's always nice to see the other manufacturers able to mix it up. But I believe we're about to go green here.
Yeah, the pace truck is going for that large jump, dives in the pit road. We are green here for Heat 1. Francois Martel going to dive into turn 1 with, oh, look at that. Looks like some contact and someone into the outside wall. I'm not exactly sure who that was. Kingsbury tried to make it work around the outside, but he's not going to quite get it done. He's going to chase Martel down the long hill into our 2nd hairpin now, and Savion Ragster close behind him, trying to send the inside lane there. 3 wide going into the corner. They're going to make it work, and they're going to continue battling here as we go 3 wide again, coming back up the hill.
Yeah, you're really seeing this early aggression pad, and I believe that crash at turn 1, I believe that was David Schofield. I'm not sure if he got some assistance on that or he just ended up locking the rear brakes on his landing and just lost the rear. I didn't really catch it, but yeah, we still got a race for the lead here. I think we're going to see 3 cars. Savion Ragster rolls it over in the final corner. That's not what you'd want to see for him, but he's able to land it back on the wheels, and he's going to get smacked by Irvin.
And it's just so easy to do that, Matt, too. You catch that inside of that berm there, it'll take your car right over as we see more cars having trouble now. It looks like that's a Betty in the 127 machine. Maybe we're getting together with Linda there, I believe, as we watch our leaders again. It looks like Kingsbury has taken lead from Martel up over the jumps back into the hairpin turn here. They're going to go side by side. Remember, our top 2 drivers are going to transfer immediately to the feature. That takes a lot of pressure off of yourself. You don't have to worry in the LCQs. Anything can happen as we ride on board of Francois Martel here on the bumper cam right there on Ray Kingsbury. Give him all he can give him to try to put the pressure on Kingsbury for that win for this race here. Now, you will maybe be sitting there at home thinking, well, Martel's already got the transfer spot. Why is he driving so hard? We still pay out points in these heat races, so very important to get all the positions you can early on, Matt.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how important having the pole here at front row start is. I won mine from the outside pole in this race, but, you know, that's a big mistake there from Ray, but I'd rather be on the pole.
Yeah, and that, of course, with the rolling start as well, you can see how, you know, the shoulders are out, the elbows are out, the bumping and banging right off the bat. So very important to get yourself out in clean air early. It allows you to run your preferred line, too. Isn't that correct, Phil?
Yeah, definitely. And these two, they're racing really hard, but you got to kind of balance your aggression and your caution, because these two are 5 seconds ahead of the car in 3rd place. You want to start on pole, and I'd say it's very important to start on a pole track like this. But primarily, you want to transfer through to the final, because if you do end up getting caught in an incident here, you end up in one of the LCQs, and those are just a hornet's net waiting to happen. So you want to make sure you transfer first and then battle for the win secondarily. My apologies.
Martel, Kingsbury, your top two in the transfer spots right now. Irvin, Ragsford, Schofield, Jensen, Linde, Abedi, and Mowry, the rest of your order. I was speaking to Alexander Abedi a little bit last week. He's actually having quite a hard time here with these truck tracks, and it is a different animal for a lot of these drivers, especially if you're used to just running Rallycross and you don't really get into the Pro 2, Pro 4 trucks. This is quite a challenge for you as we see Linde making a move here on the inside of Abedi. We'll go on board with him now. Look at the focus there from him. As you can see, he's driving that Fishsport Fiesta as hard as he can, and it looks like, oh, he's going to make it stick right there on the inside of Linde. Really, really good stuff we're seeing here in the back of the pack, Matt. Even though you're not in a transfer position, really important to get all these positions you can, as it sets you up nicely for the LCQ as a little bit of contact between these two cars coming back up the hill.
Yeah, it's super important, with starting side by side. If you aren't starting in the top, I don't know, 2 or 3 rows, it's going to be really tough to transfer in an LCQ.
Tough to transfer indeed. And remember, this is not like Crandon where we had the land rush start where you're starting cars 5, 6 wide. As Matt alluded to, these cars are going to start 2 wide in rows. So yeah, if you get yourself towards the back of the pack early, it's going to be really hard to maneuver your way through and really, really hard to make these passes. As you can see these two drivers battling, going back and forth. One driver will get the inside line, but as soon as you get the inside line, the next corner is going to be the inside line for the other drivers. So just very impressive here by everybody to keep it clean so far. There's going to be a little bit of bumping and banging, but that's expected here as we're on board now with Mr. Linde here trying to chase down the 2 Fishsport Fiestas now. And that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier, is once you get the outside line, when you get to the next corner, you've given the advantage to the next driver, Matt.
Yeah, and that makes it super difficult here. I mean, most of the corners are left-hand corners, 3 out of the 4 are, but that one right-hand corner that you have is a very, very important corner, and if you can get the outside on that corner, you can actually hold off and make that your advantage on the long left-hander turn 3.
We are white flag here in our first heat race. Martel, Kingsbury still holding on to the transfer positions. A great drive so far by Francois Martel. He was unable to qualify yesterday, so struggled a little bit to make our feature race. Ended up making it, but no problems here tonight as he's going to wheel his Subaru around the final corner and come back to the start-finish line to win our first heat. Kingsbury will finish second, take the second transfer spot. Adian Irvin in third, Savion Ragster fourth, David Schofield fifth, Davian Jensen in 6th, Ryan Mowry in 7th, Abedi in 8th, and Linde in 9th as we finish up Heat 1. And that was something else, gentlemen. I didn't see those two getting off to as much of a start as they thought they would. And, once they were out from the rest of the pack, it was just all Francois Martel and Ray Kingsbury in that first heat, Philip.
Yeah, once those 2 cars got ahead and Savion had his incident, they just continued and continued lap after lap to stretch their advantage over the field behind him. With Francois Martel's 9-second lead over third place at the checkered flag, I believe that equates to about 1.5 seconds a lap he was pulling on third place, and that third place finisher he isn't any slouch. So those top 2 cars were putting in an insane pace while they were trying to battle each other for that win there.
Yeah, any thoughts from you, Matt, on that first heat race there?
Yeah, it was a really good heat. I think either one of those drivers could have won it. I think Ray settled in for second once he made the mistake and realized, there's not much to fight for. So, yeah, great drive by Martel. He's a new guy to this league, and he's taking to these courses pretty quickly.
Yeah, taking it to it pretty quickly as we take a look here at our Heat 2 starter grid. Magnus Okenhaug is going to lead us off today, followed by Robbie Rill, Jameson Huffman, Marwin Mofta, our sportsman point leader, Justin Robichaux, Victor Aldrich, Tom Grady, Russell Peterson, and Tyler Campbell rounds out the rest of the grid. And also want to take a special shout out here for Savion Ragster. Yeah, he was racing that top group very, very hard. Unfortunately, got in a little bit of trouble here as we see the cars come around for Heat 2. We're going to be green here in just a second. The pace truck, is going to make the jump out of the way of these drivers, and we are green again for heat number 2. A little bit of bumping there between the 2 Team Watson teammates, but able to keep it together as we all dive into the hairpin here in turn 1. Running a little bit wide there for Okenhaug. It's very uncommon to see that. All these drivers trying to get as close as you can to those K-rails, Matt. That's super important to take up all the time on this course.
Yeah, you don't want to leave anyone an inch. There's a few contacts there about that, and we're seeing 4 wide right now on the racetrack, so some pretty good stuff, and they're using every inch of the racetrack.
Yeah, this battle back down to the pack here. Looks like we got Lil Tom Grady. I believe that is Huffman, and then Marwin Mofta in the and the Spark energy machine there, and all these guys battling super hard for this position. But look at that, Justin Robichaud. Oh no, as we see Mofton get caught on the K-rail there. It looks like that was an automatic reset. I don't think he had any choice there, and that is something that can happen once you get into that fencing. It's almost like glue. There's no way to get out there, as we see now. That's going to let Huffman and Ralil take the spot. But look who got out of that all and out in front. Justin Robichaud now in P2, our second transfer position, with Magnus Okenhag hurting our first position here in lap 2 of our second heat race here, Philip. And kind of a surprising thing to see Robichaud get through, but I think he was a benefactor of all the drivers behind him just battling each other. He was able to slip away to that second transfer spot.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, a lot of races from Robichaud this season have been a bit surprising. I feel like we always expect less from him than what he delivers, and he's really developed over his last season and a half as a driver in the NASA Rallycross Challenge, and he's become a lot more complete driver. Because I know, I believe last season when we went here, he was a lot less competitive, and look at him now. He's currently second in our second heat race, and the transfer spot looking to strengthen his hold over the Sportsman Cup.
Yeah, the Canadian and the Woven Planet Beetle, he has definitely put in a lot of work in the past, I would say, 6 months to get to the position that he has. And I would have to say, Matt, I'm a little bit jealous of how fast he was able to improve. I've been on the service here for now over, I would say, a year, and I'm still at the back of the pack. But look at Justin Robichaud fighting up here with the big guys, Robbie the Real, Magnus Okenhag. These aren't names that to be taken lightly, as we're right on board here with the 213 of Robbie the Real, currently in third place trying to chase down Justin Robichaud. These are some big names he's racing against, and he's making it work.
Yeah, I was his teammate partway through that first season that he was here. We had him join us, and I think it was Crandon was his first race experience in one of these tracks, and he struggled really hard with it. But we were at Crandon last time, and I saw huge improvement. First round this season, huge improvement. He was running very quick. I think he even qualified in the top 10 or 12. So great to see him doing well. He's definitely put in the work, and I know how hard he has worked for it.
And it's always good to see hard work paying off here, but he's going to get a door from Robbie the Real, and that's going to second place. He's going to take the transfer position away from Justin Robichaud. I know Robichaud is a very, very calm driver, similar to maybe a Matt Kenseth in NASCAR. He doesn't really get hot under the collar, but if I was Robichaud, I wouldn't take too kindly to that bump from Robbie the Real.
Yeah, if I was Robichaud, I wouldn't be too happy with that, as we see he sends it in the final corner on Robbie, but I want to say that was a bit of a 50-50 incident, because Robichaud, he took a really wide entry into turn 2, and Robbie saw the opportunity, just threw his car into the gap that was provided, and by the time they collided, they just kind of met in the middle. It's one of the things that just ends up happening on these dirt tracks, because you really have to defend the inside, like I was saying earlier. Otherwise, you will just have a car appear on your inside, because I believe it was 2 seasons ago, Magnus did a lot of that, as Magnus has crashed from the lead.
Oh, crashed for the lead, and he's going to get back there, but it's going to give the second position to Robichaud there. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Philip. If you give that space to another driver and they get to you door to door, I don't think you can really be too mad at them. Sure, you might be upset that you lost the spot, but it's your responsibility as the lead driver to, as we take a look at the replay now to see what happened to Okenhag. It looks like he just kind of got to the K-rail there, but I think it's your responsibility as a driver, especially here in Rallycross, to shut that door even harder than you would in other series, because a little bit of those out racing is acceptable here in Rallycross, Matt.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't think that one was 100% clean, though. It was a little far back. I think to call it clean, you got to be a little closer than that. But yeah, you definitely got to be aware of that, and that's where experience comes in. I prefer to slide my entries early and keep it tight, so.
As we've taken the white flag, this battle still continues between Okenhag and Robichaud. Okenhag may have to battle his way out of an LCQ here if he isn't able to get to Robichaud, and that's a position that he is not used to being in, really. So it's going to be interesting to see if Robichaud can hang on here for the final corner, get back to the start-finish line without Okenhag here maybe taking a run at his door again. And we watch here.
Magnus is going to be punching himself after that mistake. He just carried too little speed into the corner, and it's put him into the LCQs, and I believe he's third in the championship right now, so it could really affect the rest of the season for him.
Yeah, looking down at my championships point standing, he is in third place behind Luke Kraus and Jakob Rafoss. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see much of the young Norwegian Jim Beaver esports driver through the rest of the season. I think he's gone back to school now, and this is a little bit of a rough time slot for him to meet, so really Magnus Okenhog spot to take there in second place, but gonna have to battle out of the LCQ here in our second heat.
And it's an even bigger deal than I thought originally, as we see our Heat 3 grid, there's a big omission. There's no Luke Kraus here today, so if Magnus were to win his heat, which he hasn't, but if he were to win the final here, he would close to within 22 points roughly of our points leader, Luke Kraus. And that really reopens the championship battle with Jacob Foss obviously probably missing the last races of the season due to his school commitment, but yeah, he's going to be punching himself after that, especially as he's probably known this whole time that Luke's not here.
Yeah, Luke is not here. As you take a look at our Heat 3 starting grid, Bodie Cryer, his fiercely forward teammate, Luke's fiercely forward teammate, Josh Clogg in the second position, Cody Crosgrove, Marcos Palacio, Period Forrest, Carson McKenna, Josh Mertz, James Watson, and Brock Quinn are going to be our third heat. Remember, 6 laps, 2 advance, green flag here as we see Clogg and Cosgrove dive down into turn 1. Everybody's going to come in hard here to this hairpin. Clogg gets a little bit of the K-rail, a little behind for Palacio, and it's so hard for drivers to hold up once you make a little bit of a mistake up front because you have to send it into that corner as hard as you can, Matt, and if someone messes up in front of you, you don't really have a choice, and these brakes won't let you to stop when you're sliding on the dirt, as we see 3 wide now coming back up here for these drivers.
No, and you can't slow down any more than you already have, so there's nothing you can do about that. But good battle here at the front as Bodie and Josh show us that you can race clean and hard.
Clean and hard they're racing, and we saw for a second there Kieran Forrest's car. That all-black Ford Fiesta is actually one nice car to look at here on the racetrack, as we see the Team Watson driver of Bodie Cryer and then the fiercely forward driver of Josh Clogg battling it out here for the top 2 spots, but close on their heels is Marcos Palacio in the 83 Fishsport car, and that's exactly what he was looking for there. Oh no, he's going to get pushed into the K-rail, going to make contact with Cosgrove and Forrest. And now we've got like a big one here.
Sneaks his way through for third, but yeah, that was really unfortunate for Palacio. He looked like he had a very good potential of ending that corner in the lead, but he just kind of got squeezed into the K-rail by Josh Clogg, and it just pulled him around. And honestly, really unfortunate for him because he had some really good pace there, I gotta say.
Yeah, I don't think that was any fault of Josh Clogg at all. I think his momentum just carried him back into Palacio, and once you get your front wheels unsettled there, it's hard to get the car rotated back around, and unfortunately Palacio just the brunt of that there into the K-rail. That's going to drop him all the way back down to 8th place, so we still have Cryer and Clogg at the top of our heat grid here, but like you said, Philip, getting through in a 3rd place. Joshua Mertz now trying to chase these guys down. He's going to have a 5-second gap, but this is going to put him in a real nice spot for the LCQ. But now he's under attack from Carson McKenna in the 11 car, and really, you got to just hang on here at this point if you're Josh Mertz, Matt.
Yeah, he's got to hold on. You want to have that pull for that LCQ. It'll be very helpful. Pretty much lock it up since 3 people transfer. So I think it's got to be very important to hold on to it.
You see these drivers going side by side as we're on board with McKenna now, just trading positions, going into the turns, going back up this huge hill. And we touched about it earlier at the beginning of our broadcast, but the elevation is just such a fun part of Wild West as we see Carson McKenna trying to take the corner a little bit too tightly there, get up on the berm, and that's going to give Josh Mertz a little bit more room to get away, Philip.
Yeah, you really don't think about the elevation change on the main straight too much, but as we saw from Josh Clogg, I believe, on lap 2, he got one jump wrong, and he was fighting that whole straight to get his car straightened out. As he's battling Bodie Cryer here through turn 2. He's trying to set up an over/under here through turn 3. We'll have to see if it works out, but I believe Bodie's going to be able to hold the inside line and keep the position here.
Yeah, and we all know that Bodie Cryer is a truck track ace, especially in these Rallycross cars. I actually ran into the Bodie Cryer last in a Pro 4 race, and that's where he spends the majority of this time, so you got to think he feels right at home here, even fighting off Josh Clogg, who's trying to get a run to the inside here, getting as close as you can. Almost looks like a little bit of side drafting there if that was a thing in these Rallycross cars, but Clogg has the inside here going to the hairpin, so this is going to be interesting to see. It looks like from that view there, he's able to make it stick, maybe get the position on Bodie, but here comes Bodie with the crossover. He's not done yet, Matt.
Yeah, he shut the door, though, Josh Clogg on him there. Got a little bit of the wall, so didn't really leave anywhere for Bodie to go because Bodie had to bump him and set him forward with momentum. So, great pass there, and they continue on in 1-2.
Yeah, Clog's starting to get a little bit of a gap now here on Bodie Cryer, and you saw a little bit of damage there on Josh Clog's car. Remember, damage is off, and that's not for our drivers to hit each other and bump and bang, but that is, you know, just so that we don't explode over these jumps here. But you saw the damage fix itself right away, and, you know, the damage isn't off to, you know, make stupid moves and stuff like that, Philip, but it does give you that opportunity to maybe drive it a little bit more aggressively than you normally would and make car. But, you know, if you hit a wall or something like that, you know your car is going to get fixed, and that might lead to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. As you alluded to earlier, the damage is off just so these Rallycross cars can survive the jumps here at Wild West, because you gotta say there's not a ton of ground clearance on these compared to the Pro 2, Pro 4 trucks that usually would populate a circuit like this. But yeah, the damage will repair, but as we saw, that's not a get out of jail free card. As Marwan Mofta in the last heat, he got stuck on a K rail and it just reset him to the pits, and I believe he finished 3 laps down to it. So definitely not a get out of jail free card, but you can bash and bang with your opponents a bit more than you would on a normal Rallycross track with damage on.
Yeah, as we see Josh Clog here coming around the final corner, he's going to take the win in our 3rd heat race here. Bodie Cryer is going to take the 2nd transfer position. Josh Mertz going to be finishing about 8 seconds back now. He's coming across the line right now, and we kind of alluded to it earlier that those K-rails and those fences are pretty much a race ender, and I personally have a little bit of PTSD here from last season. I think every single truck track that we went to, I ended up ending up in the fence there, and once you're in the fence, it's not like you can get the car out of the fence. It's just kind of stuck there, Matt.
Yeah, I don't think we ran this track last season, but I think we ran, was it Wild Horse last season?
I think it was Wild Horse and then
Brandon.
Wild Horse and I believe Bark River. But yeah, both of those I got stuck in the fence. So yeah, very, very difficult once you get into the fence. It's pretty much race over here as we take a look at our Heat 3 results. Josh Clog, Bodie Cryer, the 2 transfer spots, and the rest of our grid as you saw there. So have a little bit of time now before our LCQ races. Anything stand out to you two gentlemen there in our Heat?
Yeah, I think you saw 2 different driving styles there in that last heat between Bodie Cryer and Josh Clog. I know at Crandon, the typical like slide it deep and then drive straight off type line works really well for like Bodie and a bunch of guys. But you see Josh Clog was running more of a sliding line, more of like a drifting line, and I felt like that was working a lot better for him than what Bodie Cryer was doing.
Yeah, you definitely noticed that in the last lap of that heat specifically. Because once Josh was able to get track position on Bodie, I felt like Bodie was sending it a lot harder into the corners, and you could just see how compromised his exit was compared to Josh. I think out of turn 2, he lost like half a second to him, and that was any chance of him getting back at Josh pretty much out the window. And obviously those 2 are really strong, because Josh won our last race, and I apologize, Semifinal A has started. I got too sidetracked.
Yeah, I was gonna say there, Philip. The great story, and he told it with such enthusiasm. But we are green here in our first semifinal. 80 and Irvin gonna get out to the early lead. Mertz was there too, but I'm not exactly quite sure what happened to Mertz. He's coming out of the pits now. He might have missed the grid here, as we see the Sit-Toss machine. As we see the Sit-Toss machine coming out of the pits now, he's gonna join the field at the back of the pack. Irvin and Campbell and Schofield, the 3 drivers right now in the transfer position, but got a long way to go here. 8 laps at Wild West is no short race whatsoever, Matt.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that. I don't know how Josh started from the pits and is right in the fight here, but, you know, good for him. And, got a crash up front here in turn 1.
Oh, it's a parking lot at turn 1.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to get through those hairpin turns, especially with cars all around you. I mean, everybody's trying to give as much space as they can, but, you know, sometimes you do what we can here. I think we're taking a little bit of a look at the replay here. It looks like Schofield there got into somebody, turned him around, and that was just a chain reaction after that. Cars into each other. It looks like possibly Huffman and Watson there into each other now as we go back to, I believe, live action here. I think that was Campbell that was involved in it as well. So Irvin, Schofield, Cosgrove, still your top 3 in the transfer spot, but that was able to work out a little bit for James Watson here. He's in the 4 spot and still got enough time to make it up and make a challenge for one of those transfer spots.
Yeah, these guys who aren't currently in the transfer spots, they're in a bit of a gaggle of cars, and they really need to get this sorted out if they want to catch Cody Crosgrove and get a shot at a transfer spot, because he's currently 2 seconds up the road on this gang. So if Josh Mertz, after starting from pit lane, wants to get a transfer spot and race in our final tonight, he really needs to get by Huffman here, as he sends it down the inside into turn 2, and he's gonna force himself clear.
Yeah, he made the move happen there, made it stick. A little bit of excuse me, get out of the way. I'm going to take this spot right here as we see these drivers battling back up the hill again. And I don't think Huffman's going to let that go easily. We might see some sparks here on the next turn, but who knows? Maybe he doesn't even get to him, and we'll see what happens here. These two drivers going after each other, and Huffman's going to throw it in deep, try to get, and throws the slider, is going to make contact with Mertz again. We saw that coming, Philip. I kind of saw that a mile away. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's a bit of a revenge send. Obviously, this track only having 4 corners and 2 of them being hairpins. If you send someone at the first turn, like, for example, if you send someone here, they're going to just send you back at turn 2, and you're just going to get into an endless feedback loop, and you're just going to lose time over Fizz. As I think we might see a Josh Mertz send here again at turn 2, as he's looking to the inside.
Looking to the inside. He's going to go to the inside there, but I think he's holding up a little bit. I think he wants to finish at this point, and, you know, it's important when you throw a slider on the... Oh, no! Huffman up and over. That is going to allow Campbell and Mertz to get around, and that's probably going to be race and night over for Huffman. That's unfortunate for him, but actually... like
he's landed it on his wheels.
Yeah, excellent barrel roll there for him, and a little bit of style points, but unfortunately style points aren't going to get you any closer to those transfer spots.
Yeah, unfortunately for Huffman, style points don't equal championship points. It looked cool, but I can't give you anything for it, bud. I'm sorry.
Yeah, great slow-mo shot there from our production cam. Really liked watching that right there. Really kind of gave you an idea of what's going on here. Able to continue the race. And remember, damage still off, Matt, so able to allow you to continue, and maybe sometimes when you wouldn't continue, it looks like Mertz around there, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it offers good opportunities, like you said, to be a little more aggressive and also just, you know, recover from things like that. So he's able to carry on. Yeah, it just adds a little bit of ease to it. You know, you can drive a little harder.
Yeah, and it would be pretty impressive if you were one of the leaders and you managed to pull the barrel roll and keep going, like I believe that we saw last week with, I believe it was Francois Martel in our feature race, was coming down for P2 and was able to do a barrel roll and keep going and hang on to that P2 position. But, you know, as much as we joke about style points, you know, you're not trying to do that. You're trying to keep your car as clean as you can, Philip, and really just make your way up this field. And as we're going to be coming to 2 to go this time, really just got to do everything you can to try to catch up to these guys. But a 5-second gap there between 3rd and 4th, I think it's Crossroads' feature transfer spot to lose.
Yeah, it's definitely Crosgrove's feature spot to lose at this point. So these guys 4th through 8th they're just looking to maximize their points haul for this race. I'm not sure how many cars in these LCQs actually score points. I feel like that's on me. I haven't looked at the points format in a while, but they're going to be racing for every point they can get. And I gotta say, I'm not quite sure what happened to Josh Mertz. It looked like he just got caught on the wall a little bit and towed it to the pits. I'm not sure why, but really unfortunate to see him out of the race. He was having a really solid run until that point.
Yeah, and our comeback tour for Joshua Mertz, unfortunately, is going to end with a 9th place finish here in our first semifinal, and not necessarily paying out points for the LCQs, but, you know, if you don't make it to the feature race, you're going to have your finishing position in our overall order, and you'll still get points from that. So these drivers are still going to be getting points all the way down to 24th place here in our championship points format. So even if you're towards the back of the pack there and maybe not a lap down, still want to battle for all these points that you possibly can, Matt.
Yeah, I think you do want to battle for positions, but also you got to consider, you know, penalty points, stuff like that. And, you know, these guys up front, if they have something happen, you know, I've had it happen to me before where I've been locked in on a heat race or locked in on an LCQ and someone just makes a stupid mistake in front of me or behind me and takes me out.
Kinda like we almost had there.
Yeah, like we were just talking about. So, you know, that type of mistake right there, if they're any closer, Tyler Campbell could be through on the final.
Yeah, and Schofield there trying to get to the Cosgrove's bumper there and maybe make a move for 2nd place, but now look at that. He is around and back there in 3rd, and now he's going to have to fight off Campbell for that last transfer spot as we're on the white flag lap. Irwin, Cosgrove, and Schofield are top 3, and battling door to door here with Campbell and Schofield for our last transfer spot. This is going to be right down to the wire, gentlemen. We're going to see guys the start-finish line battling here.
Schofield's trying to cover the inside on the final corner, but he's run wide. That's given Campbell the opportunity. He needs to cut back underneath him. But Schofield should have the exit on him, but I don't think it's going to be enough. That mistake has cost him a chance at the final. He really wanted that track position for the final, but he's not happy. You just saw that. He threw it hard left over the jump, and yeah, I'd be mad at myself too, as oh, he's been bodied again. Oh dear.
Yeah, just the punishment just continues for David Schofield, and that was really unfortunate. I kind of forgot if, I don't know if he was trying to get the Cosgroves bumper there or the other way around, but David Schofield, the unfortunate recipient of the contact there, gonna knock him out of that last transfer spot. You gotta know he's not happy about that.
Yeah, I believe earlier in that semifinal, my apologies, he had a tussle at turn 1, and he tried to send it again, and he got bit by it going for the semifinal win there. So it's unfortunate for him, but I know what he was trying to do. But he has to be smarter about it as we set up for Semifinal B here.
Yeah, once again, 8 laps. Our top 3 will transfer. Okenhaug, Ragster, Forrest, Grady, Jensen, Palacio, Aldrich, Abedi, McKenna, Mofta, and Brock Quinn are going to be your 10 drivers here in our Semifinal B. As we come to green, our pace truck here from iRacing will pull off, make the sweet jump, and then dive into pit road. And Okenhaug and Ragster, our front row, we're going to take these drivers back into the hairpin again. Let's see if there's any cleaner driving or if we're going to see calamity once more.
Oh, and drivers wide. You know what? It looked like it was going to be calamity, but everyone's kept it somewhat clean. Obviously, Alicia got shoved off the track there, but that... Oh, I spoke too soon. My apologies, Ian. We've got calamity.
Yeah, we've got the commentator's curse here, and it looks like that's going to be carrying Forrest around and a bunch of other drivers as well. As we saw here, everybody was just jostling positioned in that first hairpin trying to come down the hill. And you might think that you're safe and you made it through that first hairpin, but you can't. Then like happens, and a lot of drivers there are going to be getting into contact. And I know there's going to be a few unhappy drivers here as we go through. Okenhaug, Grady, Ragster coming through to lap number 2. We're going to be your guys for spots right now, followed closely by Marwin Mofta. Still enough time for him to make a move, and he's one mistake by any of them. It's going to open the door as we see the 2 Fishport cars of, I believe that's Palacio and Abedi going side by side here. Maybe a little bit of teammate action we see here. I'm sure they'll give each other a little bit more. You're fighting for a spot in the feature now. We're friends and everything like that, but you got to go now if you're this feature as we see these 2 drivers back over the jump. And talk about that a little bit, Matt. Racing with your teammates and, maybe racing for that last transfer spot or, just racing for points in general. What does that do to you from the mindset?
Yeah, it's tough because, sometimes you're racing a guy that's not in the points, but they're also wanting to have a good night for once, and they're going to race you extra hard. So, that's always tough when you're running for a championship and someone just wants to run you extra hard for what seems like no reason.
And we're on board right now with the 191 of Marwin Mofta. You can see out of the Egyptian's front window here just how close that gap is. He's just going to be watching these drivers here as he tries to make a bit of a slide job move here on Tom Grady. And, any of these guys make a mistake in front of him, Marwin Mofta's ready to pounce, Philip.
Yeah, he's definitely there and ready to pounce. Obviously, he had his unfortunate incident in his heat, so we don't really know the pace of the 191 car. And but just going off of this, going off the visuals, I think he has the pace over these 2 cars ahead of him. He's just got to be really smart with his overtake. Try to avoid an incident like his teammate had. As I'm not sure who that is flying off the track. My apologies.
Yeah, it looks like Aldrich there is going to be falling back to the 10th spot here. It looks like he got together with Abedi and Palacio. Kieran Forrest was able to sneak by there with no contact, but I think Aldrich is going to be the unfortunate recipient of the bad news there, dropping all the way down to 10th. And it looks like possibly Damian Jensen has either dropped out or is just, it looks like he dropped out now because he just went 3 laps down. Okay, gotcha. So unfortunately a DNF for Damian Jensen. Back towards the front of our pack here. Dom Grady holding on to that last transfer position and put a little bit of space now between him and Marwin Mofta. Tom Grady coming over from our Pro 2 Pro 4 trucks. Excuse me. Very talented driver there. I know he races in a short course series and trying to make a run for that world championship that's coming up for the trucks now as we watch on board here. That gap between him and Mofta, though, is closing, Matt.
Yeah, Marwan actually got to him in this last corner here last lap, but there was some contact, so he had to back off a little bit. I think Marwan has definitely had the speed on him, and you know, they're kind of watching Magnus drip off into the sunset here.
Yeah, but you mentioned there a little bit of contact is, you know, it's either going to make the move for you or it's going to slow you down and kill your momentum a little bit, and you're going to take a few turns or maybe even a lap to get that momentum built back up. But Marwan Mafta doing a good job of that now. This is the battle for our final transfer spot here as we see that bumper cam. A little bit of a stop on the brakes there for Marwan Mafta, but now their two are side by side coming into the turn here. The left-hander coming back up the hill. You can see the reflective car of Tom Grady there reflecting Marwan Mafta's hopes and dreams here of getting into the feature as he chases him back up the hill. And a really excellent battle we have here for third place, Philip.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm loving the respectful racing between these two. This is one of the cleanest battles I've seen in Rallycross in a long time, and I feel like these off-road tracks are always a toss-up between full sends and really clean, constant switchback racing, and we're getting the latter right now, and it's a joy to see when it happens.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, Tom Grady has experience in the truck, so familiar here at the Wild West Motorsport Park with these twists and turns, but he gives the position away to Marwan Mafta. Play the chaser is Mafta now in our final transfer position. Once again, Okahog, Ragster, and Mafta, our top three, will transfer into the feature if this result stands as it is right now. Our leader is going to be coming to 2 to go this time, so running out of time here if you're Tom Grady to make up that final spot there.
Yeah, and I think Marwan has shown he's got the better car, so he's trying to set sail here and you know, make his way into the final. I know he was pretty frustrated the last 2 rounds. He's getting taken out a lot of times, so he'll be very happy if he can make a final here.
Yeah, and we talked about Okahog being in an unfamiliar position here, being relegated to our semifinal, but look at the gap that he has over second place of Savion Ragster, now up to 4 seconds now as he'll take the white flag next time by, and really just kind of showing off a little bit of talent here. And you know, that's what you got to do sometimes. Even if you're one of these top high-end upper echelon drivers, you're going to battle out of an LCQ. And really just Magnus Okahog putting on a clinic here of what you have to do if you find yourself in that position, Philip.
Yeah, Magnus is kind of stomping his authority on the field. He's kind of taken out his frustration as well after that incident in his heat as he was leading that unforced error, which forced him into this LCQ in the first place. So, yeah, he's just kind of taking some of that out, showing that he had the pace. He knows where he should have been in India. He's sending out a warning to everyone else in the final right now, I think.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of a, icing on the cake here, so to speak, that if you win one of these transfers, you're going to get an extra couple points here. So, maybe make up for that gap a little bit of starting back of the pack of our feature race for Okahog as he comes around and back up the hill here. Really just his semifinal race to lose now, but this is going to put him towards not the rear of the pack, but I would say a mid-pack for our feature, and he's going to have to battle up to the front. It's not going to be an easy run for him getting into the feature race.
Yeah, I believe he'll be gridding 8th place as he crosses the line to take the checkered flag here. Obviously, that 1 bonus point's huge because Luke isn't here. Every point he gains is a point gained in the championship because Luke's scoring a fat 0. So Magnus controls his fate this race.
Yeah, and you can earn up to 33 points in a round. So trying to maximize the point game is Magnus Okahog, as Ragster and Mafta are going to be our other 2 transferring on to the final. We'll take a look at the rest of the results here. Tom Grady just misses out on that transfer spot. Brock and Marcos Palacio, Carson McKenna, Kieran Forrest, Victor Aldridge, Alexander Abedi, and Damian Jensen DNF. So unfortunate there for Abedi and Jensen. I know they were struggling a little bit last week with the truck tracks, the extra contact we see here at Crandon and Wild West, and looks like they'll be happy to get back to the Rallycross tracks, and I'm sure they're going to be happy to see Atlanta short when we get to it next week, Matt.
Yeah, definitely, and I think, rightfully so, a lot of those guys will like that, and, we're going to 2 very good tracks in Atlanta and Daytona. However, we should note, I think they're the short layouts, so that's going to be interesting and kind of gross, if you ask me. I'm not a big fan of Atlanta short.
Yeah, Atlanta short's a really difficult track, and usually breeds chaos off the start because you have that. I believe it's currently still a dirt start, so there's a line that gets a massive advantage over the others, and it's a really short run to turn one after that, and it's a really tight corner, so it usually breeds calamity off the start.
So, gentlemen, I have a question for you. Who do you have to win this one, Phil?
Not gonna lie, I'm gonna be basic. It's gonna be the boring take. I've got the car we're looking at right now, Francois Martel. He stomped his authority in the first heat. He beat Ray Kingsbury by 2 seconds, I believe, and he's starting on pole. It's hard to go wrong as long as he gets turn 1 right and is able to manage his pace. I think he's the car to beat.
Yeah, I got Josh Klog. I think he's got the calm head you need to survive one of these races, and he's also got the pace. And I think he was last week's winner, was he not?
He was last week's winner, so definitely another solid pick. I think if I had to pick a second driver to have a shot to win, I would pick Magnus Okenhag. Obviously, he's got a lot more work to do than the 2 drivers that we've picked, but I think his raw pace has been really strong here. I believe he topped pre-qualifying. Obviously, he didn't end up topping qualifying, the actual qualifying session, but he's shown his pace. He's a bit more inconsistent than the 2 drivers we mentioned currently tonight, but I think if he can put it all together, he'll have a really solid chance at winning.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear also, Ian, what you think. Who's your pick to win this race?
Well, I will say, gentlemen, those are some excellent picks. I mean, the talent level we have here is just so deep. It's kind of hard to sit there and say one guy's going to win over another. And I'm a little bit afraid to do this because I don't want to invoke the commentator curse. But I think you guys have forgot a little bit about the Team Watson driver, Bodie Cryer. I know he is desperate for a win here in the series, and I think he possibly already has a podium this year, but knowing Bodie Cryer as we ride on board with him, that's not going to be enough, and I think this is going to be the chance that he has here to finally maybe break his way into the winner's circle. And if not the winner's circle, I would almost be shocked if Bodie Cryer didn't make it on the podium tonight, gentlemen.
Yeah, Bodie Cryer, obviously, he's also another really strong pick. It's just such a deep field when you look at the talent level. But, yeah, Bodie, he's, as you mentioned earlier, he's really experienced in the Pro 2, Pro 4 off-road trucks, and this is his wheelhouse. Obviously, he didn't win last race out, but it's still his wheelhouse. He says what goes here. I think he won Crandon last season, if I am remembering correctly. That might have been 2 seasons ago, but...
I think it was Adam Thomas that won last season.
All right. My apologies. For some reason, I've got Bodie Cryer in my mind. I think he won something last season. I can't get much more specific than that. Apologies. But yeah, some really solid picks. I'm not sure how much longer we have in warm-up, but definitely going to be a really interesting race we've got today.
Yeah, and we've got a deep talent pool. I got a message here from Joshua Mertz, and he said that, he thought he was going to be able to jump right back into it and be competitive. But, a testament to just how deep this talent pool has of all these drivers we have here at Wild West. He said, man, this is difficult. Even the guys going back down in the 15th place, I'm racing them and they're smoking me. So just, it's not an easy race here. And once you're up into the features, up into these heat races, up into these semifinals, you got to battle a lot of very talented drivers as we watch Bodie Cryer here. It's not easy, Matt. And I mean, I'm sure you can out here tonight, hopefully in the future race if you were racing tonight, and just all these guys that we have, even looking here at Cody Cosgrove, the improvement that he's made this season, all of these guys have a chance to win tonight.
Yeah, Cody ran, I think, a handful of races in the last season with Dirt Esport, my team. And he did pretty good. I thought he did a nice job. He made the jump in with L1 this season full time. He's done a nice job. But yeah, I mean, I've won this event before, right? And I think even I would struggle to podium here. That's how competitive this field is. And it's just the way it is. We've developed the cars so much, and the drivers have learned the racecraft for this type of track. So it's gotten that much more, that much more complicated.
As it looks like here, our warm-up session has ended. I want to take a chance to be watching. Broadcast is brought to you by Fisher Disc Golf. FisherDiscGolf.com. Use code RALLY for 15% off your first purchase, and Bolt Jet Charters. I think we're going to take a look here in just a few seconds at our starting grid from the Wild West Motorsports Park. Francois Martel is going to be on the pole, and the front row sharing with him is going to be Robbie the Rill, Josh Clogg, Ray Kingsbury, our sportsman leader, Justin Robichaux in the 5th spot, Bodie Cryer down there at 6th, Aiden Irving, who won our first semifinal, is going to be in 7th, Magnus Okenhog, our winner from our second semifinal, rolling off in 8th. And then we have Cody Cosgrove, Savion Raxter, Tyler Campbell, and Marwin Mofta is going to round out our feature grid. These cars appear to be gridding up still, and we are going to be rolling here now, getting ready for our rolling start here for our feature race here. The 8th round of this season, 214th round overall. Francois Martel is going to lead him down to the green flag. Our iRacing pace truck is going to dive out, and these drivers are off. Robbie the Real and Francois Martel are top row. Everybody's going to be heading down in here. This is the most...
Head down into Calamity Corner. There's a bit of bumping and banging, but everyone's kept it clean so far. Magnus Okenhog looking to make positions there. I think he's made 1 so far off the start, but really clean through turn 1, and we've had a bit of chaos in our previous heat, so it's really nice to see that corner going clean, as we've had a bit of chaos in turn 2 to make up for it. And who is that going around? Is that Bodie Cryer?
Yeah.
That is a massive shame for Bodie Cryer. Ian's picked to win, and
And I said it too. I did not want to invoke the commentator's curse, and look at that. He didn't even make it through two turns before running into some problems there. He's going to be able to hang on to... I don't think he's going to drop all the way down to our last place, but going to have his work cut out for him in the 10 laps that we have in our feature race here. To back up to the front, Philip.
Yeah, definitely has his work cut out for him. And with the lack of jokers here, he's going to have to work for every position. But on the bright side, he's only 6 seconds off the lead. Like, he should have probably lost more time from that crash that he had, because he was stopped at turn 2. It's hard to overstate that, but he's only 6 seconds back. I could see him very easily creeping his way back into the top 5, maybe up to 4th, as we see a really tight battle for 4th between Ray Kingsbury and Robichaux there.
Yeah, Robichaux, even though he's in our sportsman category, he's, mixing it up with these guys up towards the front of the field, puts a little bit of a bumper there to Ray Kingsbury, your brother there, Matt. And how do you think that Ray's going to respond to it? I know he's a guy that doesn't the elbows out racing too kindly, and he'll give it right back to you if you give it to him.
Yeah, I think that's mostly just me, that he likes to bump and bang with, but, Ray can sometimes get a little feisty, too. Not as much as I do. I don't really like to take any of that. And, yeah, he sends him right here and gives him a bump.
Oh, yeah, that was a good hearty bump right now. And
oh, he got a hearty bump from Magnus Okenhog there.
Yeah, and that I would say, though, a Kingsbury being aggressive, that's a shocking revelation, Matt. I would have never... I mean, as we... Okenhog, again, these guys battling for position here, really just giving each other all the chrome horn they could.
Yeah, Magnus Okenhog is just desperate to make his way through the field right now. He knows he has the pace to chase down those top 3 cars, and I think he just feels a bit stuck behind Kingsbury and Robichaux, and obviously with them racing side by side the last lap, he just lost even more time.
Yeah, right now, Martel, Larill, and Clogg, your podium positions right now, as we're going to be coming to 6 to go this time by when they see it. 3 laps here completed out of, now 4 laps completed out of our 10-lap feature. Still a lot of time if you're able to break away from this pack that we see here to chase down those leaders, but you got to make a move quickly, Matt, if you're going to get back up there.
Yeah, they do, and, we're seeing at the front here that Martel isn't really pulling away, and Clogg is all over the back of Robbie Larill. So if Magnus can get around Ray here and, lay down some heaters, he might be able to catch up to the tail end here and have a chance at a podium.
Yeah, clean air is very important to laying down those heaters that you mentioned. And touching back to the beginning, the front of our pack now is, Martel, he has that slim lead over Larill and Clogg, but Larill and Clogg are really battling, so I'm sure that Martel's looking in his mirror and watching those two guys go at it and just loving every second of it while he continues to pull out to an even bigger lead now. He has it over to about 7/10 of a second. We're going to get close here going back into our hairpin, but being able to get a real clean drive off of that hairpin is important for picking up that time between you and the car behind you, Philip.
Yeah, Robbie's in a really difficult spot right now because obviously he wants to attack Martel ahead of him, but he's got to be cognizant of Josh Clogg because Josh Clogg is closer to him than he is to Martel. So when he attacks, he has to know that he's not going to make a mistake that's going to cost him the position to Clogg, because then it's not about beating Martel anymore. It's about making the position back up on Josh Clogg.
And that's very important. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I would say, you know what they say, no attack, no chance.
Yeah, it's so hard if you're gonna make a move to, maybe throw a slide job down in there or dive in really aggressively to this corner. You overdrive one of those corners. You mentioned, Philip, your position's gone. So yeah, Robbie Rarill in a spot right here wants to push as hard as he can to try to track down Martel, but also can't give away that position to Clog. But even if you do give that position away, you're still looking at a podium here. But Ray Kingsbury is sitting there licking his chops going, come on, boys, give each other a little bumping and banging so I can get up there to a podium position.
Yeah, as you're saying that, I believe Ray Kingsbury's been closing in on this bunch this last few laps, but I wanted to touch base on Robbie Rarill real quick. I'm not sure if you've noticed it, Ian, but he's taking a really shallow line into turn 1. I think he's trying to just get a nose on the inside of Martel, on the inside of Francois Martel, and just try to spook him off the racing line and just force his way through by that. But every time he does that, Josh Clog is right up his rear bumper and ready to pounce into turn 2. So I'm not sure it's the right strategy for him.
Yeah, and that's something that you could do, but right there, you just see him drive wide, and that's going to give the position away to Clog. So Clog is going to second place now, and we were talking about that for laps before it happened. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like possibly Martel here with a little bit of a slowdown, but that's going to open the gap up for Martel up to about a second over Clog and about almost 2 seconds back to the Rarill now. But now that's going to leave Rarill in the clutches of Ray Kingsbury, who's now going to be battling him for that final podium spot.
Ray Kingsbury's been making a lot of time these last 2 laps. He's down to about 2.5 seconds behind our leader, Francois Martel, but he's got 2 cars to get through before he has a chance to race for the lead. As Magnus Okenhage, he's made a little bit of a mistake there in turn 4, but I don't think it's going to hurt him too much. He's got a pretty big gap to Robichaux behind and a pretty big gap to Kingsbury ahead, so he's just kind of hoping those top 4 cars get into a bit of a tussle and he can capitalize on it, I think.
Yeah, we're going to be coming on to go 2 laps to go this time, and I just looked down at our timing and scoring screen, and actually Ray Kingsbury has ran the fastest lap in this race. So you're absolutely correct, Philip. He's reeling that gap in. I believe he's running a 51.3, and he's able to get to the back bumper of Robbie Rarill now. It's going to be a battle here for this final transfer spot as we come to 2 to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a fight for this final podium spot between Kingsbury and Rarill, but Kingsbury's blinking a little bit there. I hope that doesn't affect it at all, but yeah, he's definitely in the catbird seat right now, I'd say, and Martel seems like he's holding up Clog a little bit. He's taking that really wide line on turn-in for turn 2, and that really compromised Clog, especially on that last lap, and if he keeps doing that, I think you could see Kingsbury even have a chance at winning here. I know there's only 3 laps left, but anything's possible.
Yeah, and you saw, Clog drove it in really hard there, but Martel kind of parked it in the corner, and that's almost a strategy that you can throw back on a guy chasing you, is maybe, slow down into a turn a little bit more to the point where they have to slam on their brakes and kill all their momentum, and I think we saw that happening to Josh Clog last lap there, able to slow him down a little bit, and, Martel able to get that gap a little bit more there on Clog, but that also opened it up for the Rarill. Look at this. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 battling for our podium spots here. Going to be coming to the white flag this time for Francois Martel.
Yeah, Martel just needs to keep it clean this last lap. Make no mistakes in turn 1 and turn 2, and you're basically home free, buddy.
And what a win it would be for Francois Martel. He's had a really good time here in our Enduro rounds. I believe he finished P2 last week, and he's going to be looking here for more this week. But Clog's not going to make it easy there. He's close up the gap. He is right there. And if he's able to get a nose in on Martel, I don't think he's afraid to use it.
Yeah, he really sent it in there to try to get the nose, but that might show the door to Robbie Rarill there. Ray Kingsbury also tried to show his nose there. It's just a bit of a gaggle at turn 2 as they head through turn 3 now.
Yeah, kind of stacked it up a little bit there. Robbie Rarill, had to slam on the brakes so he didn't get into Clog, and that's going to push him back a little bit farther here, but all Francois Martel for our feature race. As he comes around the final hairpin, he'll come down the final turn, and barring any unforeseen circus. Oh no, the Rarill is off. I think that's going to give our final podium spot to Ray Kingsbury, but it doesn't matter to Francois Martel. He's going to battle the line here. The Rarill is going to get the final podium spot. Francois Martel is your winner at Wild West.
Yeah, that was just a textbook defense from Martel in the last lap. He stacked them all up at turn 2. Like, I thought that wide line was going to screw him over, but he timed it perfectly. He stacked them all up, and he was just home free after that.
And give a call to Robbie the Real there. I thought he was done. I thought he had binned it and was going to give that spot away to Ray Kingsbury, but able to recover, get that final spot on the podium. Robbie the Real going to be your third podium finisher here. Francois Martel, your winner, and Josh Clog going to come second. Kingsbury, Oakenhog, Robichaux, Ragster, Mofta, Campbell, Cosgrove, Irwin, and Cryer going to round out the rest. I'm sorry, it's Irvin going to round out the rest of our feature race here. And what a drive. You mentioned it earlier, Philip, by Francois Martel. Just took the lead right away and, just played fantastic defense for the rest of the race and able to hang on there. Really great drive by him.
Yeah, Martel just did what he had to do from start to finish. He knew starting on pole position, he just had to focus on keeping his car clean, making no mistakes, and just when someone got close to him, just defend like he did. And he did it perfectly every time. He never gave Josh Clog a proper chance to get by him, and that's what you have to do. You have to minimize your mistakes, and you have to time your defenses perfectly.
Yeah, again, Francois Martel wins at Wild West. Josh Clog finishes second. Robbie the Real, that third podium space. And give a shout to Justin Robichaux, who won our sportsman race here tonight. That's going to increase his sportsman point lead even higher now over second place Victor Aldrich in the sportsman point standings. Obviously, that hasn't updated for this round right now, but Robichaux, our leader, coming in, and he's going to hang on as he wins the sportsman race here from Wild West tonight. And man, what a race, guys, from start to finish, from our heat races to our semifinals to even here in the feature, just no holds bar, bumping and banging, beating and banging here on this truck track at Wild West in Sparks, Nevada, with the mountains in the background here. And really just a fantastic job by all of our drivers, but especially Francois Martel, Matt.
Yeah, really good job. I think everyone kept their aggression pretty much in check. There wasn't anything that was over the top aggressive, I felt like. And just overall great race, first time winner. And he did a nice job on his probably second time in this league, running one of these tracks. Showed a lot of composure, especially against the three guys that were behind him, all guys that have ran, season after season on these truck tracks. And, he's defended last week's winner, and he's done a nice job there to hang on to it.
Yeah, as we're gonna try to get down to victory lane to get an interview here with our winner, Francois Martel. Just kind of waiting on him, giving him some time to celebrate here from Wild West, and unfortunately he's not going to be able to talk to us tonight, I guess, from celebrating too much. His voice is hoarse, but we'll go ahead and bring in our sportsman winner, Justin Robichaux, now to the commentary cube. And Justin, standing by with Matt Kingsbury here, congratulations on your win.
Hey, thank you so much, man. So happy to be here. Unbelievable.
Justin, congratulations on your win. What's it like to make the final and finish in the top half of the final for the first time?
Oh, it feels unreal. I mean, I've got everything to thank in like my teammates, just working together, and we're just making ourselves better every week. And to see the hard work pay off, and both of us get in there and get a decent result was huge, man.
A decent result indeed for you, Justin, getting a little bit points there on your sportsman lead. We talked about a little bit about it during the broadcast, but talk a little bit about yourself. You talked about the hard work with the team Woven Planet. We're watching your car right now on the broadcast. Beautiful paint, by the way. But talk a little bit about that work that you put in the off season and just so far this season to get to the point where you're at right now.
Yeah, it was a lot of sessions. We just got together on a consistent basis, set up a schedule and just got on the track, man. We got the schedule in hands early, and we just jumped out there and started working with telemetry and following lines and experimenting with new things. And we've got some great guys behind the scenes too, running our setup. So we've got some guys building our setups for us, helping us tweak things, and spotters that people that work with Woven Planet and Renovo that are helping us on the back end and making things run smoothly. Be it spotting or figuring out how much fuel we need, things like that. And it's huge, man. It's just great. And together we're all making each other stronger, and it's showing out there on the track, man.
Yeah, sixth place overall. Again, the sportsman winner tonight. We've talked a lot about your finish so far, but let's talk about the starts here. Those rolling starts side by side. How were you able to navigate them so well throughout the night?
They're great. It's funny. I'll go back and I did some ovals when I first started this. So there's a lot of rolling starts on ovals and a lot of playing with the leader. So I don't know. Maybe some is rubbing off from that. I don't know for sure, but I did get some great runs. The car feels fantastic out there. So you just get the pedal down at the right time and you can kind of squeeze into places. Get a little lucky too.
Well, a little bit of luck got you to a sportsman win tonight and a whole bunch of skill, if I have to say so myself. Congratulations on your win. Is there anybody you want to shout out that helps you get it done?
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, Woven Planet Racing and everybody at Woven Planet and Renovo, you guys made this happen. The car looks great. The team is showing up every week, and thanks for showing up and watching. And my family, my dad, my aunt, and people are watching tonight. So it's pretty great to pull out a good win for them and get up here and shut them out.
Shut them out. You did. Go celebrate with your team, Justin. Take care.
Thanks, man. Take care, guys.
Yeah, and I think Justin's going to be one to watch for, not only for the rest of this season, Matt and Philip, but I think going into next year as well. I think he's going to be one of those guys to watch out for as he moves to our championship round. Speaking of championship round, we're going to get a interview here with our third place fitter tonight. We've got Robbie the Real in the booth here, and Robbie, always excellent to see you on the podium, and congratulations on your third place finish. Talk a little bit. We just talked to Justin about those starts, the rolling starts, not usual for the Rallycross drivers. How do you navigate those rolling starts and get yourself in a position to finish P3 tonight?
I'm still learning the rolling starts. It kills me in the rolling starts because I've got to wait till the guy in front of me takes off, and you don't know when he's going to take off. So if you're just like a little hesitant on your throttle, the guy behind you is already coming full blast, and next thing you know, you're getting jumped over or something like that. But rolling starts are still, I'm still learning the rolling starts too. It's definitely better if you start P1 because you can just roll off with it and take off. It's your call.
Yeah, and you weren't P1 for the feature race, but you start on the front row, so you got a little bit of that. But once you were in the battle there, when you were battling with Clog and Francois Martel, we were talking a little bit on the broadcast about how you were trying to attack Martel, but also play defense at the same time. Was that true? Were you trying to watch you both out the windshield and out the mirror, or were you just focused on Martel the entire time?
No, I knew Clog was fast, and I can tell which turns he was faster than me. Like the turn 1 and all that, he was way faster in turn 1 than I was. And I was trying to make the move on Martel, but at the same time, I knew that if I'm trying to send it on the inside, if Clog does come up and he bumps my back bumper, that's the end. I mean, that's what happened on turn 1 right at the start. I got a little bump on the front because I think I would have had the jump on the lead on that, but I went a little sideways. But that's the hard part about being sandwiched in the middle. At one point, I thought about just letting them go in between and take second and me stay a little back and then wait for them to make a mistake.
And you talk about mistakes. I had counted you out there on the last lap. I saw you go off to the left, and I thought you were done. What did you manage to do to save it, get back on the track, and come home P3?
Pure luck and adrenaline. Because I was actually trying to send it. So I threw myself a little outside and I was going to send it in hard. And I ended up catching too much of that bump. And it kind of wobbled me a little bit. And I was expecting, I think that was Magnus behind me. I was expecting him to come in right there with me. And I saw him catching up and I was like, oh no, that's not going to be good. But yeah, I pulled it together and saved it and made it across the finish line P3. So I'm happy.
Yeah, and good to see you on the podium. As always, anybody that you want to shout out that helped you get to that podium?
Yeah, I got to thank KES. I thank y'all. I love the broadcast. And all the guys in NASA League, they all make us faster.
Well, we love you, Robbie, and appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
I love you guys. Y'all have a good one.
And Robbie, always a driver, Matt, Philip, that you got to watch out for. He's bad fast, and he's got a little bit of that raging Cajun in him. He's not afraid to race you aggressively too. And we'll talk to the person that he was racing aggressively. That's going to be Josh Clog, who ended up finishing second place. Philip, you're on with our second place finisher, Josh Clog.
Yeah, Josh, really solid race today, but it was just a little bit too late to get to Francois Martel there. He only really had one shot in him on the last lap, and he just seemed like he timed that defense perfectly. But obviously a second place finish for you, and Luke wasn't present, so that brings you just about within a race of his points lead. I believe you're 30 points back. How was the race for you today?
It was pretty solid. It was a lot of fun in the heat with Bodie. That was awesome racing. And then in the feature, just good race to Francois. The pace was something else. I don't think anybody was expecting that much of, you know, to be that far ahead of him, the rest of the pack. So good race to him. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Avoided carnage the best I could, and I think that was the key to it.
Yeah, it was definitely a really fun final for us to watch up here in the booth. Looked like near the closing laps there were 4 cars under a blanket, and any one of them could have won. But obviously, it's really hard to overtake on this track. Talk to us about that. How hard it was to overtake? Because obviously you had to work pretty hard lap after lap to get by Robbie, and you finally did it in the closing laps. How was it to just race people around this track?
Yeah, you got to set it up like 2 corners ahead of time. Use one corner to kind of get them upset, off centered, and then get a good exit from that, and then attack on the next corner. So it's if you mess up, that's that's a half a track, a half a lap that you're not going to be able to use that move anymore. So it's definitely something you got to plan and execute just right to get done on this track. So it's
And
it's a feat.
yeah, and with how few corners are on these tracks, definitely a challenge because you just watch the laps tick by every time, and feel like you get a little bit more antsy every time you see 3 laps, 2 laps, last lap, and you just think, oh god, I got to get the move done. I'm not sure if that's how you feel, but I know that's how I feel on these tracks, but I haven't raced them in a while. But
Yeah,
yeah, really
that's
really well done to you today. Massive
thank you much.
congratulations.
Thank you much. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's and you start pushing too hard, and then you just fall behind. So it's a really delicate balance on these tracks.
Yeah, and completely unrelated, I think you are the NASA endurance champion this season. Obviously, you won last race and you finished second today, so it'd be pretty hard to beat you. But congratulations on that. I'm not sure if that is an official championship in NASA anymore, but I know Josh likes to keep his stats, and you've got that this season. Congratulations to you. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for today's race?
Yeah, thanks to Fiercely Forward crew as always, and hope to see Luke back out on track. And thank you much for the preemptive thank you for the endurance if that's still a thing.
No problem. You have a wonderful night, man. Really well
Thanks.
done on your second place again.
Thanks, appreciate it. See you guys.
Yeah, and what a run by Josh Clogg. And I mean, if that's not a championship, that's still something to hang your hat on. A P1 and a P2 finish here in our truck rounds. Taking a look at Francois Martel here, our winner, already hoarse from celebrating, and he's going to be celebrating with his team. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is Team Watson Racing's first Rallycross win, at least on NASA. So big congratulations to Team Watson as well. That Team Watson Subi squad is in a fierce battle, no pun intended, with the Fiercely Forward squad for our Constructors Championship. I think they're just going to be able to hang on to it, though, because the gap was 19 points going into this round. I think they're still able to hang on to it, but that is definitely going to tighten up our Constructors Championship. Of course, Subaru still in the lead of our manufacturers standing here with a huge 101-point gap going into the night, but some very interesting championship implications for our overall point standings. Luke Kraus, Jakob Foss not racing today. That's going to allow Magnus Okenhout, Robbie the Rail, and Josh Clogg to make a huge jump in our point standings coming to our final 2 races. And you mentioned it earlier, Matt, it's going to be Atlanta short and Daytona short. So going to be a lot of tight racing. You really want to set yourself up well for those final 2 races in case you get into any trouble. And that's what our top finishers did tonight. So really impressive to see those guys go out there and make the most of the opportunity that they had. And any final thoughts from you, Matt, or you, Philip, going into next week?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to put up with me next week, so good luck to them.
Yeah, it's going to be a reset of philosophy going into next week. You're back on the Rallycross tracks. You got to change your approach a lot because these off-road tracks, obviously, you can slide the car a lot more and kind of send it more. And on Atlanta Short, you definitely have to be a lot more contained, especially with that first corner. The fishbowl, you can kind of send it, and that's always really fun. It's probably just both the Atlantas are really fun tracks to me. I prefer long just because short's a bit too chaotic, but probably some of my favorite rallycross tracks on the service. And I'd just like to say this real quick. Josh Mertz has confirmed that the Endurance Cup is an official championship. So congratulations to Josh Clog on joining Josh Mertz, Sindre Silva, Dylan Livingood, Cody Erdman, Jacob Harberts, Bodie Cryer, and Luke Kraus as our Endurance Cup champions.
Yeah, congratulations to them indeed. And it's actually going to be a 1 week gap for us here at NASA Rallycross. We'll see you again on May 16th for round 9. Once again, that's going to be from Atlanta Short. And as you mentioned earlier, Philip, a great rallycross track. I know some of our drivers maybe aren't the fondest of the short layout, but the fishbowl and then the Joker lane there at Atlanta just leads to all kinds of strategy. And that merge from the Joker coming out of the fishbowl is always something to watch. So from 2 weeks' time, May 16th, we'll see you at Atlanta Short. And for me, Ian Fisher here, my colleague Matt Kingsbury, Philip Kraus, Victor Vallee in the production truck, doing a great job as always with all of our camera angles. On behalf of the Automotive Sports Network, and especially Joshua Mertz for going out on the racetrack and allowing me the opportunity to call the race here on ASN. We want to thank you for tuning in to NASA Rallycross, once again presented by Fisher Disc Golf. Use code RALLY at FisherDiscGolf.com for 15% off your purchase, and Bolt Jet Charters. And once again, hope you'll join us on the 16th from the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the short configuration. That's going to be us for a good night from us tonight. And once again, thank you for tuning in to our presentation of NASA Rallycross here on the Automotive Sports Network.